loses.
Oh, so bet on the Lakers, huh?
Yeah, okay, I'll predict the Lakers. That's good news for Blazer fans. Oh, baby, thanks a lot. Hello, everybody. Nice seeing you again. The key to the playoffs and indeed the future of this team as we know it now is Clyde the Glide Drexler. So as we head to Game 1 against the Lakers, time to have a long conversation with the man. Publicly, the Blazers insist they feel no extra motivation to beat the Lakers, but Clyde says the team is pumped about the matchup. Portland suffered national embarrassment in the series last year. The starters played some of the worst games of their careers. Now, Portland has a chance to return the favor, and it doesn't make any difference to Clyde that Worthy and Magic aren't playing.
I don't care who they got on the floor. They're still a pretty good team. And the fact that they're here shows that. Even though they're an 8th place team, I still think it's going to be a tough series.
But Drexler is not that impressed with the Lakers.
I'd give them a C+. I really would. Because
that's not very high.
Well, they're missing key guys. And when you're missing Worthy and Perkins, probably their best 2 players, it lowers their grade.
Clyde gives the Blazers an A for their season.
We've had a super season. There have been some ups and downs, but we've remained consistent. And to do that, it takes a lot of hard work and a lot of dedication. And our team has done an outstanding job of it.
Are you as confident this year as you were when you went to the finals?
I think I'm even more confident this year because I think we're hungry. I think because of what happened last season, I think guys are really going to respond to the challenge.
Only if Drexler is healthy. A big toe, knee, and calf are still sore. 70%, 80%? I don't think you're much more than 80%.
I'd say I'm 85, Ed. No. And by Thursday, I may be 95.
That's bad news for the Lakers.
I could be 100.
Drexler, a student of the game, is a throwback to the old days when the rule was if you could stand up, you could play. The Glide learned about playing in pain as a kid in Houston when he played something called sideline tackle against older and bigger kids.
We played touch football if it was on the cement, but if they were close to the sidelines, like close enough where you would land on the grass, they could wipe you out. You get tackled. So it was called sideline tackle.
Is that where you got your toughness?
I just think that those are little things that help promote a good attitude.
Well, thanks to sideline tackle, folks, Clyde Drexler is going to play a lot more. Clyde is a little out of shape because
time of the year that all of us become little amateur psychoanalysts and try to figure out what's going on in their brains. For instance, tonight's question, does the revenge factor come into play at all against the Lakers? Well, it depends on who you talk to.
Pressure falls in the Portland hands.
The Blazers were supposed to roll over the Lakers last year. They were supposed to sweep their way into the finals for a matchup with Michael and the Bulls. But when Magic Johnson tossed the ball the length of the floor as the clock wound down in Game 6, it hit home that the Lakers would be going to the finals and the Blazers would be going home. Buck Williams, for one, has not forgotten.
There's no question about it. It weighs very heavily on our minds. They sent us home last year. We wanted to start the playoffs the next month because we just felt that we're a better team. And this year we have to go out and prove again that we're a better team and make sure that we don't allow ourselves to get caught in the same kind of situation we got caught in last year.
Kevin Duckworth, though, says he doesn't care about last year, that the failure at the Forum is not at all on his mind going into this year's playoff series.
No, what's on my mind for? This is early in the playoffs. No, it's not.
Do you feel like there's any kind of a revenge factor for what those guys did to you last year?
I don't think you can approach it like that. I think it's not a bad way to approach it, but I think the best way is to just whoever's the team that we have to play, just come out and play like we played all season long.
Terry Porter is tired of people asking about whether the Blazers can go all the way this time around. He's even getting a little sarcastic about it.
Well, to be honest, I don't think we could beat Charlotte. We just couldn't. Matter of fact, we couldn't beat your high school team. Just couldn't do it.
Terry is, of course, just joking around, but there will be no joking around Thursday night. Make no mistake, the Blazers respect the Lakers with or without Magic, Worthy, and Perkins.
They have talent on that team. People like to talk like this is a miracle. No, they've been a good team all year. They were leading the division early in the year. They've had a lot of injuries, but they have a lot of veterans who know how to win games.
But back to that revenge factor. You won't hear Clyde be snide about getting back at L.A., but see if you can't read between these lines.
Wait is all season long for this, and the team that knocked us out.
You can't be a Blazer fan without wondering how's the home team going to do this playoff season? Now, some folks check the stats. Other people, they go by last season and say, well, they might do this, they might do that. At Good Evening, we don't mess around. We get our information from a higher source.
This was something that came during the night, several nights ago. It was though here was Bryant in a very bright light.
I feel a lot of scattered energy. It's like everybody having their idea about what should be done.
Jim Wilhite and Lori McQuarrie are psychic. We asked them to set their intuitive sights on the Blazers. Jim relied on his higher consciousness. Lori used the Blazers' birth dates. We talked free throws, injuries, and that all-important question, are we going to win the World Championship? Let's start with my very own little pet peeve. We're hotter than a pepper on the floor, but just can't drop those free throws. Any hope of sinking them?
Well, Mark should be one that they look at for doing that, and Terry Porter should be the other one. And do you know who they ought to give a chance doing that is Olive.
I think that you'll see games where they'll shoot their 70, 80%, and the other ones they throw bricks and everybody crawls under their chairs. I don't see any change.
It's not free throws, but foul trouble that dogs Kevin Duckworth. A lot's been said about Duck's on-the-court staying power. Lori predicts if Duck isn't cut some slack, he could leave.
And he's gotten his second technical foul, and Duckworth has been ejected from the game.
Duck's not the only one who might leave. Lori says someone's eyeing Jerome. A few other predictions. Jim says Danny Ainge will continue to sink those three-pointers. Lori says expect some good things from the Pac-Man. Neither sees any major injuries, although Jim is concerned about Clyde's recurring turf toe and hyperextended knee. And Lori is warning Cliff Robinson to watch out for his elbow and his arm. And when it comes to most valuable player?
The name that comes out is Terry Porter again. I like his energy, and I think he's somebody that's got a tremendous amount of potential. And I'm wondering if he's just sort of paced himself, held himself back a little bit. This is a very strong person.
I see Mark Bryant right now as the secret weapon of the Blazers. You put him in there as the eighth man, maybe even he gets 15 minutes of play. He's hitting his outside shot. He's banging the boards. He has super self-confidence right now. He's flowing like a gifted athlete. He's their secret weapon.
Like a lot of fans, Jim sees the Blazers in the final face-off against the Chicago Bulls. He predicts it will take 7 games, but the Blazers will win the NBA championship. Lori doesn't see it that way. She predicts the Blazers will be in it up till the end, but the same thing that happened 2 years ago will happen again.
Back to back.
Painful memory for all Blazer fans, creamed by Detroit in 5 games, the last 3 losses right here at home. No offense, Lori, but I'm hoping Jim's prediction comes true. The Blazers over the Bulls in 7. He says all it takes is tapping our creative Blazer consciousness. Visualize, so the forces in motion can make it happen.
Let's don't visualize the championship. Let's visualize the celebration. Do you remember Fantasy Island, the little tattoo would say, "De plane, de plane." Well, I have one this year. De parade, de parade.
A parade would be nice.
I was at the
streets of
first one.
downtown Portland.
I remember
was
it.
too.
Broadway, boy.
I saw you there.
Really, yeah.
By the way, McQuarrie has one more prediction about the Blazers. She says expect a big announcement in June or July.
Says it might have something to do with a big management shakeup, maybe health reasons involved. That's all they'll say at this time. We'll have a follow-up story for you after the playoffs are over.
Like the Lakers with all that tradition can win that baby. Oh man, wouldn't that be an awful lead story? Hello everybody, nice seeing you again. Thank goodness the Blazers and Lakers play tomorrow night. I can't stand any more hype. But here we go one last time, folks. The Lakers check in today. They're hanging loose and have nothing to lose, and they seem happy just to be here after everybody wrote them off.
Even when the times got the bleakest down the last week of the season, they never gave up. And I really am proud of them for that.
It was a great fate for us to get here, and we had a serious fight to do that. But we know what we're capable of doing. If we can just play with the momentum, the intensity, and the focus that we had this past week, we can make some hay in the playoffs.
The Blazers have played down the matchup all week, but you know as well as I do it's revenge time. This team wants to whip the Lakers, Magic or no Magic, and send a message to the rest of the league.
Our team's ready to play. We've prepared for this team like we would in the other. We've waited a year to get back in the playoffs. We've had 3 excellent practices, and we're going to be ready to play tomorrow night.
I think, everyone is really focused and really concentrating on what has to be done out on the floor in the playoffs, and we understand that it cost us last year, and hopefully it won't cost us again this year.
Now this is Miami's Grant Long, who most likely made the mistake.
Jerome Kersey is chomping at the bit to play, but his body has been telling him to rest, and that's what he did, too. He practiced today, but is still sore.
Jerome practiced. He looked good. He was very active. He felt good. We didn't use him as long today as we did the other day, but the fact that he came out and, Jerome, when he has a day off, has a lot of energy. And he had energy today.
If you had to assign a percentage of what you are, what
rebounding is the key, and that's what really concerns me, is that the Lakers have out-rebounded the Blazers. You know, rebounding oftentimes is a matter of will. You explained Calvin Nat and Kevin and Kermit Washington. But I think they will. You know, there is some concern to viewers about when the games are going to be shown. Now, Game 1 is tonight at 7:30. It is on Blazer cable, and it's on TNT, but it's blacked out in the Portland area. Now, Game 2 is at 12:30 Saturday, and that is on NBC. So one is on free television, and the other is on cable outside the Portland area and on Blazer cable tonight.
Okay, thanks, Ed. We'll check in with you a little bit later on, okay?
I think the guys on this team, we really know it was a great fate for us to get here, and we had a serious fight to do that. But we know what we're capable of doing. If we can just play with the momentum, the intensity, and the focus that we had this past week, we can make some hay in the playoffs.
AC has some interesting comments about everybody observing their team. That's because they've had so many different lineups because of all those injuries and retirements and so on. Now they've had a lineup that they'll be using all the time, that they've used for the last month, and maybe now they're gelling, which would be just the right time. Now, for the Blazer players, when they arrive, there's a gift waiting for them in the locker room, and we've got 3 of them with us. The Gilroy family here of Portland has these 4-leaf clovers. This one's for Clyde, this one's for Buck Williams, and I suppose it's fitting that the largest one goes to Kevin Duckworth. Every player and coach has 4-leaf clovers awaiting them, and hopefully this will bring them good luck as the NBA playoffs begin tonight. We'll be back in the sports segment with a complete report on what's going on. This is just the teaser. We'll see you in about a half an hour.
Through in about an hour or maybe 20 minutes more. This place will be mad dog crazy. Blazers and Lakers, Game 1 of the playoffs. Now let's get to some videotape I want to show you about this morning. Both teams went through shoot-arounds this morning. LA's was unusually long. I guess Mike Dunleavy figures his players had better get as much work in as possible.
The realistic is we have small chance, but we believe, we came here to play. If we play like last time, last game in the regular season here in Portland, smart, without a lot of turnovers, we can do something.
Vlade was a nightmare for the Blazers last year, especially Kevin Duckworth. And Schatz will visit with Duck and his renewed self-confidence. Yeah, my partner running Ann Schatz will talk with the Duck at length in our next segment. All that and more coming up in Second Sports.
What they're chanting, well, they will be. It's empty now except for the Blazer dancers. They've got a playoff to contend with and the routines they'll do, and the players too, and that's the important thing, and that's what we'll detail when Channel 2 Sports comes your way after these minutes. It's about to take place, the beginning of the NBA playoffs, and boy, haven't we waited a year for this since the earlier than expected exit last year. Last year in the first round, the Seattle Supersonics gave the Portland Trail Blazers all they could handle in that opening round. They did advance, but one player who takes the floor tonight knows all about that. Not just a Blazer either. Ron Carlson is down on the floor with more on that, a player who made his mark here last year. Ron?
Well, that's right, Lou. As you said, the Blazers may have changed first-round opponents this year, but there's one face that will remain the same. It's Sedale Threet, that little guard who nearly shot the Blazers out of the first round last year and is largely responsible for shooting the Lakers into the playoffs this year.
In last year's first round of the playoffs, Sedale Threet was as bothersome as an unwanted guest. He just would not go away. After the Blazers won the first 2 games in Portland, it was Threet who was the threat in Seattle. In Game 3, he finished with 29 points and knocked down the game-winning three-pointer.
I think they know me from last year, so their concentration definitely going to be there on me.
Threet has changed uniforms this year, but the Blazers know he has not changed his habits. He's still on target as a late-game hero. On Sunday, Sedale shot the Lakers into the playoffs with the game-winning jumper against the Clippers.
I just want to knock that jump down and knock it down.
By now, you've probably noticed another Threet trademark, short, to-the-point answers, which means you can cover a lot of topics with him in no time. For instance, how about the Lakers' approach to the series?
I think our team is going to be really loose, and we're going to just come out and play our game and try to knock them off.
Or how about the Lakers-Blazers rivalry?
It's a personal thing with the Blazers and the Lakers from last year because they knocked the Blazers out, so they're going to come at us. We know that.
And what about tonight's game?
Well, we're just going to go out and try to steal one of these games here. We want the first one.
There, that just about covers it. Now, if only the Blazers could find a quick and easy answer on how to cover Sedale Threet.
Well, as you can tell, you have to turn up the audio a little bit when you talk to Sedale. He's a very soft-spoken man, gets right to the point. The answers are very quick. You better have your questions ready for him because he zips right through everything. Now, the Blazers better be ready for Sedale as they were last year. He scored 14.6 points per game against the Blazers in the first round of the playoffs last year, so a lot to contend with there for the Blazers tonight, Lou.
Okay, Ron. Will Sedale be the difference? He has been in past contests. What about the big man, Vlade Divac and Kevin Duckworth? Both have endured strange seasons. Vlade injured for a good portion of this year, and Duckworth only now is coming out of that dismal funk, which kept his minutes down for most of the season. Now, though, both are ready as the playoffs begin.
Well, you know, the only motivation you can get right now is just the playoffs. That's all you need. You know, from there on, it lifts itself up.
And that's exactly the way Duckworth's regular season ended, uplifting. Now that the playoffs begin, Duckworth's playing his best ball of the season at just the right time.
We practice pretty hard. Well, a lot more concentration than during the regular season. The guys really worked hard, pushed each other. And, you know, this is a situation where we was waiting to get into, you know, the start of the playoffs.
Like Duckworth, Vlade Divac has returned to top form just in time. And once again, the physical rivalry resumes. But Divac knows where he fits in that mix.
Duck was a great player, you know. He's a really great player, and every time when I play against him, you know, I respect him so much because, you know, maybe, it's not maybe, definitely he's stronger than me. I'm quicker than he. So we are in the 50-50, you know, this series. They got a lot of rebounds and a lot of balls that they was getting more second effort rebounds, and we was just like basically watching a lot of times. I don't know if I'm fatigued or just, you know, relaxing the last game of the year.
Duck and Divac, that should be interesting. Sedale Threet and the Blazer guards, Clyde back for the first time in a couple of weeks. We'll follow all of that tonight, and Jerry Murphy will be busy too. Jerry?
And Lou, what about Clyde Drexler? How will he play tonight after 2 weeks on the bench? And what about Jerome Kersey? We'll have time to answer those questions tonight at 11:30. In addition to our regular coverage on Channel 2 News at 11, join us at 11:30 for Blazers Extra. We'll have all the highlights, post-game comments from both locker rooms. Join me, Ron Carlson, and Lou Gellos for Blazers Extra starting at 11:30. Should be a lot of fun. Lou?
Okay, thanks, Jerry. And one final note before we leave you and send it back. Some coaching maneuvers today, and one may have some implications in the playoffs. Phoenix coach Cotton Fitzsimmons says he is not about to be the coach for very much longer. The playoffs only, perhaps motivating his team. He will become the director of player personnel. And Paul Westhead, the longtime assistant coach with Cotton and the former Phoenix Sun All-Star himself, will take over as the head coach of the Phoenix Suns for next year. At the other end of the spectrum is Paul Westhead of the Denver Nuggets, or should I say, formerly of Denver. The Nuggets fired Westhead today, saying, and I'm quoting now, "It's imperative that we move in another direction." Westhead won only 44 games in 2 seasons with the Nuggets. And in Milwaukee, the man who replaced Del Harris in December as the head coach of the Milwaukee Bucks, Jack Hamblin, is also looking for a new job. He was fired today. No successor named there. They do expect to name one soon, however, before the playoffs are over. Blazers and Lakers will be back at 6:30.
See you then. Thank you, Lou.
Okay, and Blazer Extra at 11:30.
You're right. I do. I feel good. You know, I laugh. I tell you, I've been laughing more this week than I did in a while, and it's just been a great feeling for the past, couple of weeks.
Duck is staring smack dab at the very team that had the critics howling. Kevin had a miserable series against Vlade Divac and the Lakers in last year's Western Conference Championship Series. Payback would be sweet.
People always say that people remember the last thing you do, so it's not a bad thought in my mind. It's just that I didn't do well that last game at all, and I just really don't think about it. I think about positive things, and hopefully positive things are going to come out of this series. So that's all I'm left with in my mind right now.
I think one of the guys who might understand Kevin Duckworth best is with me right now, the guy to my immediate left, assistant coach Jack Shallow of the Blazers. So much talk has been going on about the worth and the importance of Kevin Duckworth in this series and in the playoffs for the Blazers. Nobody knows that more than the guys who play with him and coach him every day.
That's exactly right. Kevin sometimes feels he has to score, but he can set screens, he rebounds, he makes people, because he has shot well in the past, he makes people guard him and it opens up a lot of things inside. And today I was happy to read where he said if he just set 20 picks to get people open, he would be happy. And I hope he comes around because that'll take a little pressure off of him.
Him saying that, to me, really says a lot about his attitude at this point, too. He seems very positive and real eager to just get going.
He really is. Yesterday we were sitting down and I told him, 2 days ago, I thought he had the best practice I had seen him have since he's been here. And he said, Coach, I think I've had the best month of practices. Great. And I said, how you doing? He says, good. And then he says, let me correct that. I'm great, and I'm going to be great positively the rest of the playoffs. So I'm really excited about him because he's a great kid, and everybody wants him to be happy and succeed, and he will. He's lost some weight, and he's playing well. We love the guy, and he's a big factor for our team.
Okay, Jack, thanks so much for joining us, and good luck tonight.
Thanks, Ed.
Ed, from the horse's mouth, Kevin Duckworth needs to have a big series, and I think Big Duck and the rest of the Blazers feel that that's exactly what's going to happen. Back up to you, dude.
Okay, thank you very much. Running and shots of playoffs on the East Coast have already started. Let's check out some scores here. First of all, Boston and Indiana. There you see that. Now, we have an update. Indiana is ahead now, 38-36. And Cleveland and New Jersey, I am frankly surprised that New Jersey is that close at halftime. Okay, the Phoenix Suns announced today that Cotton Fitzsimmons will step down from coaching at playoffs end, and to no one's surprise, top assistant and former Suns guard Paul Westphal will take over.
I'm just looking forward to the opportunity to try some of my creative things. I'm going to play Kevin Johnson at center, and I'll try to get Dan Marley to hustle a little bit and turn the team upside down. If they would just do that, then we'll be fine.
Phoenix made the announcement to keep the media from going nuts with speculation. Cotton will become director of personnel on a full-time basis. Not good news, though, for Denver coach Paul Westhead, because now he's former Denver coach Paul Westhead. The Nuggets fired him today after only 44 wins the past 2 seasons, saying they want to go a new direction. Obviously, the only direction to go there is up. Same story in Milwaukee, where the Bucks canned Frank Hamlin. Milwaukee missed the playoffs and had its worst season in 13 years. Now, I don't know if it's bad timing or bad luck or both, but you know what?
Avenge that playoff loss beginning tonight against Los Angeles. Lou Gellis is at the Coliseum now with a preview. Lou?
Well, Melissa, I guess it's fitting, really, that the playoffs begin this year where they left off last year. The Trailblazers facing the Lakers in the opening round. And as you said, the Lakers were the team that eliminated them, so they really are picking up where they left off last year. This time, though, the roles are reversed. The Lakers, once mighty, are not so mighty anymore. They were lucky, really, to get in, coming in as the 8th team in the Western Conference. The Blazers, on the other hand, are the experienced team. And somehow I think this role reversal is going to make this a very interesting series.
We don't have a whole lot of room for error. I think they've got a whole lot more room for error than we do. As far as if somebody's not going good, they got a list of characters over there. They can find somebody to do the job for them. But if we can play up to, our best game, up to that level, and keep them down, not near their level, then we have a chance.
Every game between the Lakers and Trailblazers is a great game. I think that this year has been the best in the West. I mean, Portland is a better team. Portland has advantage. They are #1 in the West, so they have more chance than we are. But I still believe that we can go in the second round.
Everyone wants to observe our whole season, but I think the guys on this team, we really know it was a great fate for us to get here, and we had a serious fight to do that, but we know what we're capable of doing. If we can just play with the momentum, the intensity, and the focus that we have this past week, we can make some hay in the playoffs.
And those are statements from 3 Lakers. There's a statement from Ala Abdel-Nabi as he stuffs it in. On the front of that T-shirt, you can barely read it. It says, "Us against the world." That is the Blazers statement as these playoffs begin. We'll be back in about 15 minutes with the sports segment and details some more for you before the playoffs begin here in Portland.
Coliseum. Let's find out what George has discovered in our town today.
Well, Paul and Melissa, the Blazers and Lakers continue to warm up on the court behind me. There's another group of people warming up off the court, and that would be the Blazer fans. And of course, they're hoping for a long postseason of Blazer Mania. Now, there are not many here just yet, but don't let the empty stands fool you, because they're expecting the 673rd consecutive sellout. Now, there are already signs around that Blazer Mania is well underway. This is Trailblazer Lane inside the offices of Consolidated Freightways. It's an office shrine to the Portland Trailblazers. When workers need a release, they shoot a few jump shots. Hopefully, the Blazers will make a lot of those tonight. Now, over at the Legacy Corporation, there's no doubt who these folks are rooting for. Employees here want Kevin Duckworth to know that they're his #1 fan, and they believe that he'll be able to stop Vlade Divac and that the Blazers will, of course, beat the Lakers. Now, everyone is waiting for this game to begin just about an hour from now, and we'll hope for the best and root for the Blazers. Paul, Melissa, back to you.
Okay, George, have a good time, and we'll check back.
Well, how would you feel?
That's right. The players have all been out on the floor, then gone back out, and then come back in, and then gone back out again. Yeah, the playoff nerves are here. The fans are streaming in, and we'll have a full house here in the matter of about a half an hour, I would say. The game usually begins at 7 o'clock here at the Coliseum. Normally it's loud by now, but tonight's playoff game begins at 7:30. So consequently, we've got a little slower stream of people as they come in. Last year in the first round of the playoffs, you may recall, the Blazers played the Seattle Supersonics, and they really did give Portland all they could handle, taking the series all the way to the 5 games. One player on the floor tonight knows all about that, and he is not a Trailblazer. Ron Carlson is down on the floor with more on a player who was really in Portland's thorn in their side last year. Ron?
Well, as you said, Lou, the Blazers may not be playing the Sonics in the first round this year, but they're still going to have to contend with one of the players who gave them an awfully tough time in the playoffs last year. And we're talking about guard Sedale Threatt.
In last year's first round of the playoffs, Sedale Threatt was as bothersome as an unwanted guest. He just would not go away. After the Blazers won the first 2 games in Portland, it was Threatt who was the threat in Seattle. In Game 3, he finished with 29 points and knocked down the game-winning 3-pointer.
I think they know me from last year, so their concentration definitely going to be there on me.
Threatt has changed uniforms this year, but the Blazers know he has not changed his habits. He's still on target as a late-game hero. On Sunday, Sedale shot the Lakers into the playoffs with the game-winning jumper against the Clippers.
I just want to knock that jump down and knock it down.
By now, you've probably noticed another Threatt trademark, short, to-the-point answers, which means you can cover a lot of topics with him in no time. For instance, how about the Lakers' approach to the series?
I think our team is going to be real loose, and we're going to come out and play our game and try to knock them off.
Or how about the Lakers-Blazers rivalry?
It's a personal thing with the Blazers and the Lakers from last year because they knocked the Blazers out, so they're going to come at us. We know that.
And what about tonight's game?
Well, we're just going to go out and try to steal one of these games here. We want the first one.
There, that just about covers it. Now, if only the Blazers could find a quick and easy answer on how to cover Sedale Threatt.
Well, and as you might expect, wherever the Lakers go, they bring Hollywood with them. Over my shoulder here, actress Diane Cannon, who we always see along the sidelines of the Lakers' home games, here in Portland tonight to cheer on the Lakers. And she's hoping Sedale Threatt can continue his heroics against the Blazers tonight. Last year, against the Blazers, he averaged 15 points per game in the playoffs, so he's going to be a lot for the Blazers to have to contend with tonight, along with all of the Lakers bunch. They've been tough lately.
I think it's interesting, Ron, that Diane Cannon is wearing black. She is not wearing the purple and gold of the Lakers. She's wearing black. Should be interesting to see what happens. Now, how will Clyde play tonight? That certainly is a big story. He's been out with 75, and Portland won 115 to 102.
Oh, there's no question about it. I think it's a very exciting game, too, when we push the ball to the floor and make a lot of good things happen in the open floor. But tonight, we're not being denied. We got the ball off the glass and pushed it up. We missed the shots. We were able to get offensive rebounds and put them back in. So that's what we need to do.
We'll break it down in 10 minutes on Blazer.
About guys elevating their games come playoff time. The New Jersey-Cleveland game, you had Doherty, you had Price, Petrovic, unconscious tonight.
I think three players with the season highs, Ernie. Just, as you say, stepping it up, the type of game Petrovic had to do what he did to keep them in the game, and then at the end of the game, just Doherty time after time rising.
Let's take a look at what happened at Richfield Coliseum tonight. This was a dandy. The Nets really played the Cavs tough, but Cleveland holds them off. Ooh, front row seats. They got all the perks over there. Check it out. Price and Doherty, they combined for 28 points in the first quarter alone. You knew it was their night. Mookie Blaylock, though, with the steal. Quick hands. He's going to find Drazen Petrovic. Petrovic on his way to a 40-point night. Cleveland comes back. Mark Price hit 5 3-pointers on the night. Look at this thing, like a horse game, man. Throws the long one in there. They're up 78-69, but here comes Petrovic again. Inside, the leaner. What a ball game they had. Cleveland up 113-110, time running out, minute to go, and John Hot Rod Williams with the big play, 120-113. Cleveland beats New Jersey to take a 1-0 lead. The Avis We Try Harder Award, that's got to go to Brad Doherty. 40 points tonight, that's a season high. He averaged 21.5 during the season. 16 rebounds, that's 7 over his average. 9 assists, what a night for Brad Doherty as the Cavs win. We're just getting warmed up here on TNT tonight, folks. Another game still to go. Lakers and Blazers next on TNT. All right, coming right up, it's Game 2 of our doubleheader on the opening night of the NBA playoffs, the Lakers and the Portland Trail Blazers. If you're just joining us, you missed the Boston Celtics beating the Indiana Pacers. We could be in for another one of those series like they had last year, Jim.
It's a great series last year, Ernie. Boston defense has been sensational for a month. It was great tonight when they needed it.
And the final score, if you are just joining us, Boston 124, Indiana 113. They take a 1-0 lead, as do the Cleveland Cavaliers with a 120-113 win over the New Jersey Nets. Jimmy Lynam, what do you see for Game 2 of our doubleheader, the Lakers and the Blazers?
Well, it's ironic, I think, the emotion. Last year, obviously, Blazers tremendously disappointed. The Lakers, the team that took them out. Chance for revenge.
Lakers needed overtime on the last day of the regular season just to get in the playoffs. Do they have what it takes to beat Portland? We are going to find out soon. Ron Thulin and Doug Collins have the call from Memorial Coliseum. It comes your way next. Lakers and Blazers on TNT.
Spectacular day today in the Rose City, and it's going to be a spectacular night in this building right here, the Memorial Coliseum. The 673rd consecutive sellout. They have come to see the Portland Trail Blazers for the second consecutive year, the best record in the Western Conference, and another Pacific Division title. Hello, everybody. I'm Ron Thulin. Back in 1977, the Portland Trail Blazers won the World Championship. They beat the LA Lakers 4-0 in a playoff series, but since then they have not beaten LA in a playoff series. 4 straight for the Lakers. This year, the season series is 4-1 in favor of Portland. Joining me tonight, Doug Collins. Doug, the one loss by Portland, they didn't have Kersey and they didn't have Clyde Drexler. They're playing tonight. Now, that can be a positive for both Portland and both LA.
Well, let's look at it from Portland's side. First of all, they're very happy to have those 2 players back. They know they're going to be full of energy and enthusiasm, but you don't know how the layup is going to affect them. I think when we talked to Rick Adelman today, the one thing he wanted to do was to not shoot a lot of jump shots early in the game, get some things going to the basket, aggressive with their defense. Now, from the Lakers standpoint, the things you hope for is that with the layoff, they're rusty, and that maybe they underestimate the Lakers a little bit. Game 1 is the one they would like to steal, like they did last year in the Western Conference Finals.
Well, talking to both coaches this afternoon, they told us that the key to tonight's game, no question about it, is rebounding.
Well, when we look at the season statistics for these 2 teams, the Lakers are not a good rebounding team. Portland is an excellent rebounding team, an 8 rebound differential in the 2 teams. They cannot let that happen tonight. When you see this, the Blazers, if they out-rebound the Lakers, they will win this basketball game.
Well, the Portland Trail Blazers are a very emotional team, and they're going to come out with that emotion tonight. They've adopted the philosophy of us against the world. When we come back, we'll have the lineups and the tip-off. Game 1 between the Lakers and Portland before a sold-out Coliseum in Portland.
Do not adjust your sets, folks. That's the story. 75-41 Portland over LA in their first-round Western Conference Series. Ernie Johnson in Atlanta with the Prudential Halftime Report. A quick check of NBA news in the coaching ranks. Paul Westhead was fired in Denver after 2 rugged seasons in the Rockies. No replacement named. Frank Hamblin won't coach the Bucks next season. He'll be in basketball operations with the club. No replacement named. Cotton Fitzsimmons will step down as Phoenix head coach after the playoffs and remain as player personnel director. A replacement has been named. Then it's assistant coach Paul Westphal. And at Philly, Sixers owner Harold Katz says that Jim Lynam will be back as the head coach next season. And that kind of news made the flight from Philly to Atlanta go just like that. As Jimmy Lynam, I never can do that. As Jimmy Lynam joins us here in the studio. Congratulations on that. I know it puts your mind at ease, but Harold Katz had some things to say in a press conference today about Charles Barkley. He said, you know, you want to talk to us about the big guy? Go ahead. We'll listen. What's the status with Charles?
Well, Harold indicated to me, Ernie, that after a frustrating season, a disappointing season, you have to look at every possible option. Somebody's got an attractive offer regarding Charles. He's going to have to listen to it.
How would you adjust to life without Sir Charles in Philadelphia if that were to happen?
But that to be determined.
Good answer. Hey, if you're just joining us, it's a doubleheader on opening night of the playoffs here on TNT. If you missed Game 1, the Boston Celtics beat the Indiana Pacers at Boston Garden. Good ball game. Larry Bird couldn't play. Kevin McHale could. Gets the three-point play. But Indiana, boy, they can fire it up from the outside at the end of the first half. Reggie Miller, tie game, 53 apiece. End of the third period, Indiana down by 3. Michael Williams loses the handle and still launches in it, goes. They're tied at 87. Reggie Lewis was the man for Boston, though. Drives the paint, gets it up and over Dale Davis. Boston with a 124-113 win over Indiana. Reggie Lewis, a big night, and Chris Ford, the head coach, was loving every minute of it.
Just spectacular. Yeah, he's stepped up his game this year. He was selected to the All-Star team, and when he was selected, his first statement was he didn't want it to be a one-and-done job. He wanted to go back again, and his play right now has soared, and he's a guy who's carrying us offensively. Whenever we need a big shot, he comes through.
That is Chris Ford. And Jimmy Lynam, if you are Chris Ford, you look at these stats, you've got to like that first game victory.
I think you feel real good. You weather a storm, 8 threes by the Pacers. When the Celtics needed that big D late, they had it, Ernie.
Boston takes a 1-0 lead in that series. Also, that's the story in the Cleveland series. The Cavs with a 1-0 lead over the New Jersey Nets. Brad Daugherty was huge tonight, a season high, 40 points. Mark Price had 35. Drazen Petrovic had 40 points in a losing effort for the Nets. But let's talk about Brad Daugherty, Coach. The Nets have got to find something to do with that big guy.
Yeah, he dominated, was huge, season high. I think the big thing, Ernie, to me, we look at a play here. The Nets made a decision to play one-on-one against Brad Daugherty. And the main reason here we have Mark Price with the ball. He's going to make a feed down in here. You see Coleman trying to guard Daugherty. All this spacing. Go ahead. We run the telestrator. Telestrator. Thank you, Ernie. I appreciate that.
You got it.
Okay, let's stop it right there. And you see the spacing. Now Coleman is down here. Don't do this to me. Leave me here by myself. And the reason being, you have a three-point shooter right here, three-point shooter right here in Price and Elo, two of the best three-point shooters in the league. Tough to go with Larry Nance's guy because one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. And what it's going to do, it's going to let Brad Daugherty literally dribble Coleman to about 3 inches from the hoop. Go. We'll dribble. 1, 2, dribble. 3. Stop right now. Any big guy in this league, Brad Daugherty, among the best, is going to right there be able to make that shot all night long. A high percentage shot for Brad Daugherty. Right here, going to lay the ball in the basket. Right there, you see, he can stop it right there. Unstoppable. You talk about a high percentage shot, he's going to make that shot literally 100% of the time.
And he did just about tonight. 40 points, 120-113. The Nets again find out that 113 is not going to get it done tonight, folks. 2 teams score that number and do not win. Look at the game summary here in the free throw line. That jumps out at you.
It does. 45 free throws, 17 by Daugherty, which again, as you said, Ernie, they have some way to come up to guard him, but very difficult. Brad Daugherty, the best passing center in this league in terms of assists with 3-point shooters on the perimeter.
And he scored a few points against you guys this year as well. Brad Daugherty, a star tonight. Also playing right now, we got the Seattle Supersonics, Golden State Warriors in the West. We'll update that when we come back on the Prudential Halftime Report. Portland 75-41 over the Lakers. They are at the half as the Prudential Halftime Report continues. Ernie Johnson back here with Jim Lynam. You look at the Seattle Supersonics, Golden State Warriors. Nobody wanted to play either of these teams in the first round, and now they have to meet, and a good team is going to get knocked out.
And keep in mind, Ernie, Seattle, not your classic number 6 team. 27-12 over that stretch. You're looking really at a real battle, I think.
George Karl's done a superb job with the Sonics as they go up against Golden State at Oakland Coliseum Arena. Don Nelson, his friend on the sidelines, 256th playoff game as a player and a coach. There's Michael Cage. He's number 5 in the league in field goal percentage and uses the lefty hook. Golden State. Tim Hardaway throws it away. Tony Brown throws it away. Billy Owens takes advantage. And now Tim Hardaway is stripped. Gary Payton got Sean Kemp in his sights, and he lays it in. Chris Gatling, the rookie for Golden State, going to go to work in the paint here against Sean Kemp. And this one goes. And then Chris Mullin Hey, white men can't jump, but they can throw this stuff up there. Look at Mullen with that thing going in. It's tied at 35. Gary Payton of Seattle going to spot up and drain the jumper. They've got the lead, 66-60. Seattle over Golden State. We're going to have bonus coverage of that. We had some in the first half. We'll have more as the night goes on. Seattle has the lead over Golden State. Sharunas Marciulionis, let's talk about this guy. He makes so many things happen for Golden State. He's tough. It's like a halfback going in there, and you like the telestrator so much. Go back to it here, Professor.
And surrounded by guys that just, this is vintage Golden State basketball. You see Marciulionis is going to push the ball up the court, and once he gets it up there, watch where these guys spot up. You see Mullen and Hardaway ends up. Go ahead. We run it right from there. Penetration. And notice Seattle, the green shirt's doing a good job getting back, and we stop. Now here starts the penetration. Now you see right here, there's that three-point line right there, and you're going to see Hardaway here, Chris Mullen right there, both licking their chops right now because they know exactly what Marciulionis is going to do. Go. Marciulionis with a spin dribble, stop it right there. You see all these green shirts in there. Yeah, they stopped the penetration. This guy's going to get in the air, and right now this thing's already in. You can count this already for Mullen. Go. Pass out there, stop it right there because everybody's back here. Chris Mullen, one of the best spot-up shooters. Boom, he's going to let that go down. Dead center. Go. Hit that telestrator. Boom. Thank you.
Chris
Golden
Mullen
State at their best.
Drains it right there. Right now they are trailing against Seattle as they play in the third period, Oakland Coliseum Arena. The third period is just around the corner from Portland. We got the Blazers taking on the Lakers, and it's all Portland's way right now. We have another doubleheader coming your way tomorrow. Remember, Inside the NBA comes your way after Game 2 of our doubleheader. Hannah Storm, your host. And tomorrow night, the Bulls and the Heat, the Clippers and the Jazz. Get next to that tomorrow night. Video the third quarter just about to start in Portland. Hey, Ron Thulin says you got more patience than Marcus Welby. Here's your chance. Get back at him. Thulin and Collins waiting in Portland.
Those two guys are going to need a lot of patience to finish that game.
Good point. Good luck.
I'll tell you what, see, the problem is you're not, Jim.
Channel 2 Sports presents Blazer Extra, an NBA playoff special report. Now here's your host, Lou Gello.
Good evening, everybody, and it certainly was a good evening for the Portland Trail Blazers in Game 1 of the NBA playoffs. They pick up where they left off last year against the Los Angeles Lakers, but as you all recall, it didn't end very well last year. The Lakers bounced the Portland Trail Blazers right out of the playoffs. Not the case tonight. Greg Smith joins us again here on Blazer Extra. He was with us last year, and Greg, you've been down this championship road, 1977 with the Milwaukee Bucks. You had some time here with Portland as well in the 70s. Right. So you know what this is about here. What did you think of Game 1?
Game 1 came down the first half the way I told all my friends it has to come down. They have to win big and go out and make a statement against this Laker team because last year it was a substitution that killed them in the playoffs last year when he didn't read it correctly. And so they came out in the first half, won it big, and then there's a lot more to talk about tonight after that.
That's right. But first, let's start with the first half, give you an idea of exactly what did happen in this game. Let's check the first half highlights. The opening tap really is an indication of how pumped up the Blazers were. They almost knocked the ball right out of bounds. That's an indication of what was to come in this game. A good save by Jerome. Here's the double team. Defense a key in this game. Buck with the steal, led it up to Clyde, and then Jerome finished it off. It was really a fast break first half. Here's Buck taking the loose ball and going the length of the floor himself. Buck Williams doesn't do that very often, and that gives us an indication of just how the Lakers were not playing defense. Blazers led 13-7 at that point. Clip on the inbounds pass. Here it is again.
Oh, it's very obvious. They weren't playing good defense. They weren't focused, and the guys just sneaked right past, and that's uncalled for.
25-12, Portland led at that point. Clyde missed inside here. Then he stayed after it. If that knee was bothering him, it surely didn't show there because he was doing the leaping, he was doing the jumping, and getting the crowd jumping as well. 33-14, Portland at that point. Lakers tried to trap, but Portland trapped them. Buck for the jam. 35-18 after the first quarter. Jerome with the long pass to Porter, who flipped it back to Cliff Robinson for the jam. That probably was the noisiest basket of the night.
It certainly was, because Cliff, it seemed like he just fell out of the building, just happened to catch the ball at the same time. It was incredible.
Watch Jerome coming up here as he drives the baseline. He didn't show any ill effects of those bad ankles. He comes down the baseline for the jam. 52-28 Portland. Really, this game was over in the first half. Kersey blocked by Eldon Campbell there. So what does Porter do? He picks it up for the three-pointer and nails it. He hit 3 of those in the first half. Now, here's the start of a big run at the end of the half. Clyde to a flying Jerome going the other way for the layup. The result here, 69-37. Really 2 different ball games. The first half was one way, the second half another. Buck to Porter here to Clyde for the alley-oop by Cliff Robinson. 71-37.
You're looking at a team. This is 1969-90 Blazer team running here right now. That's the ball club that's on the court. Now, of course, we get into the second half. We'll have something to discuss.
because I think they fell into the late 91 Blazer team. But this is the 89-90 team that those 12,000 people have grown to love.
Well, there's Clyde finishing it off, and in the first half, the Blazers scored 75 points. That is a club record for playoff performances in a single half, and no doubt gives the fans something to cheer about there. Just a great effort for the Blazers in that first half. Now, why did they do what they did? Why did Portland win the way that they did? We've prepared some keys to this game, which we were able to put together as the game went on. What did you think was the reason why the Blazers were able to pull this one out?
I think they were able to pull it out simply because they were focused on winning tonight. The guys were so in tune the first half of the ball games. They were moving the ball well. One of the fears that I had initially was I thought they may not be that way because Clyde had been out for a few games. But they passed the ball, they were cutting back door, they were in the paint, and everything was working well. And Terry was taking initiative on his jump shot. He was not hesitating as he normally does. The defense was key. They were in there, their hands were busy, and they were focused on that factor. Something we'll look at in the second half where they were not as focused. They had to win big. They won big in the first half, but did not win big enough. I think when the folks back east get the newspaper, they're going to see this club only won by 12 or 13 points. Not big enough with a Medicare ball club like the Lakers are.
And the third key point on why they won?
Aggressive. They were so aggressive. It's amazing how the officials were able to keep the fight down because these men were beating each other very badly inside the paint, and that they kept the aggressiveness there, and they went well with it.
Here's some illustrations of those 3 points. Portland trapping in the backcourt here, and this led to a 10-second violation.
It did, because one of the things that L.A. does not have is a one guard. They are so poor. They're paying these young men $300,000 to $400,000 a year, and they can't bring the ball up against pressure. And Portland has this key thing on defensively here. They stayed on the ball, blocked the shot, down on the fast break, and this really drove L.A. crazy in the first half of the ball club. They could not even realize what was happening to them because this team was on top of them on every way in the first half.
And once again, this aggressive defense that you're talking about, Clyde stripping AC under the basket here.
Exactly. Hands were busy. They were very busy in here, and he just stayed on the ball and up the court, and the guys just took off. Again, this was the 89-90 team that was so great then, and that is the way they played tonight in the first half.
You've alluded to this a couple of times, and before we get to the second half highlights, I want to ask you about just the first half. If they can play like that the whole way through, can anybody beat them?
No one can beat them. They're frightening. These are big men moving fast. And then you bring Cliff off the bench, and he can come in at any given time. This is a motion offense. This is something that people criticize Duck. Duck is a big man. He's not going to move that much. But then you bring Cliff into the game, and he's moving. Cliff is not afraid to put the ball on the floor and get into the basket. And this is something that Duck quite doesn't do as well. But then again, Cliff cannot go up against the big men that they bring in like the Patrick Ewing, because Duck does have the weight to slow him down defensively.
And Duck didn't have to do that tonight. His job was to take care of Vlade, and he did indeed do that. Let's look at the second half highlights now, and this really was a different game. Byron Scott, the three-pointer here. The Lakers on a 14-0 run early in the third quarter, and this did change the complexion of the game, as Greg alludes to. Blazers start cold. They missed their first 5 shots of the second half and turned the ball over, frankly, several times. This led to an easy jam for Byron Scott, incidentally the leading scorer for the Lakers in this one, and that cut the lead down to 20. Well, nothing to get too worried about. Buck and Clyde teamed up to stop the slide. Buck took the feed from Clyde for the jam there. Clyde then took it himself on this play, the lead back to 24, and that really was enough of a cushion to kind of put the scaredy cats in the stands at rest. But the Lakers just would not go away. Scott with another three-pointer there, and then Terry Teagle got hot, and this is the part of the game that Greg Smith thinks is a key thing to remember. He hit 4 long-range bombs in the fourth quarter, and suddenly that lead was wilting. Clyde would not let it go, though. He took control down the stretch here and was able to kind of cut things off, put that tourniquet on the L.A. Lakers, and answer their long-range buckets, and that was really what enabled the Blazers to pull this one out and win 115-102. Second half was different, though.
Totally different. I think that one of the things Dunleavy's coaching staff is going to say, how do we get Portland in that posture again? How do we do it? It's going to be very difficult for him to do, because I don't think Rick's going to allow his club to be that way. What Portland needs to do, come out in the third quarter. It's a tough. Third quarters are tough. They've been sitting in there, and they have a 32-point lead or what have you, and it's hard to come back out. But I think coaches, well, with this ball club particularly, with their weakness at the guard position as far as handling the ball, will have to make this team pick them up in the full court defensive press. Everybody, you got guys defensively out there, then you got the whole team moving around, getting a little loosened up and making them aware of what's happening out there. But if you just come back and just pick them up at half court, you're stagnant. you're not loose. You really need to get out there and get wet and sweaty and getting ready to bang them in the middle.
Like they did in the first half.
Exactly. They were sweating and they were banging.
Okay, you've heard from Lou and Greg enough, at least for the time being. Let's hear from the Blazers themselves. A lot of them talked with Ron Carlson, and Ron's with us live from the Coliseum. Ron?
Well, I don't think we've heard enough of you guys. You guys are doing great back there. But it was fun to watch down here tonight. There's another record I think we need to bring up, gentlemen, that hasn't been brought up yet, and that's the fact that the Blazers held the Lakers to an all-time low for an opponent. 24 rebounds is all the Lakers were able to pull down tonight. That's the lowest ever against a Blazers team. The previous low, 28, also by the Lakers in the playoffs here last year. Another record to bring up tonight. Cliff Robinson, you've touched on him, how well he played tonight. He had a playoff career high tonight of 24 points. Now let's talk about what the Blazers said in the locker room tonight. They were talking about the complete game that they put together, especially in the first half, the things that were noted, well, just about everything that you could note. Great offense, great defense, great rebounding. And the thing that I think is especially pleasing to Blazers fans is, of course, the Blazers have often been rapped for being not a very good half-court team. Tonight they were excellent in the half-court offense. But here's what the guys had to say when we talked to them after the game.
We set the tone right from the beginning. We knew that, you know, they're not a great field goal percentage shooting team, but they have guys that really go attack the boards. And we kept them off the boards, we got some offensive boards, got a lot of defensive boards, which kept them at bay, and we were able to run off those boards. You know, that's the thing you have to do in the playoffs. I think you have to come out and you have to establish what you're going to do.
You guys really ran the court well in the first half. That had to be a delight to be out there.
Well, most important, I thought defensively we played well as a team. Our defensive rotation was very good. We played with a lot of tenacity, and we really went out and just took the ball to the goal and got a lot of penetration, and those are the kind of things we need to do in order to win.
We had control from the very start, and we were able to sustain it throughout. The Lakers started to make some shots, but it wasn't enough to even make a threat. So I think we played a very good game, and whenever you win by 13 points in a playoff, it has to be considered a good victory.
Yeah, it's not often a team can run off a 16-2 run on you, and you still have a 20-point lead.
This is true. This is true. You know, thank God we did have that lead because, you know, those guys they compete hard and, you know, they have a lot of pride. And AC's a tremendous rebounder. He's a tremendous leader for them, and he gets those guys going. And, you know, that was the case in the second half. And if we don't come back out Saturday with a little more better concentration in the second half or for the rest of the game for concentrated 48 minutes, it might be tough on us.
It just seemed like everything was going our way the first half, and then it turned and went their way the second half. They started making a lot of shots, but I think if we just keep our concentration and keep coming at them, we're going to be okay. But we know it's going to be a tough series.
The board work in the first half was sensational.
I just think the whole game, when we have both ends of the court, we played about as well as we can play. That's why we had the lead we did. We just rebounded well. We moved the ball well. We defended well. It was one of the better halves that we played in a long time.
And one other statistical note to talk about right now is that the Blazers shot 63% in the first half. And taking a look at all of the statistics shooting-wise at the end of the ball game, all 5 starters shooting better than 50% for the game. Add Cliff Robinson and Mark Bryant to that, and you have 7 Blazers who shot better than 50% tonight. So these guys really had the bucket brigade going, Lou.
Ron, one question before we let you go and get on to the next segment here. Are they concerned at all by the way they played in the second half? I mean, some of them alluded to it there. As Cliff said, if they didn't have that 20-point lead, this one might have been a little more scary than we thought it could be.
True, we talked to Clyde about that, and he said, well, you know, when you have that big a lead, one that was built to 36 points at one time, he said it's kind of tough to keep your concentration going. He feels it was just a matter of losing your concentration for a while because the lead was so big. I don't think any of them are really that worried about the effort that they put forth in the third quarter. They were able to, actually, he said the game was out of reach at halftime, and basically they just had to come out in the second half and put a few buckets together. They're not that worried about it.
Okay, thanks, Ron. We'll switch back to the Coliseum in a moment to get the Laker perspective on this in just a second. But we want to bring up some of the statistics you've already heard Ron talk about and check the different positions and see how they went. At the guard position, it was really a push.
It was a push. They canceled each other out. 22 points by Scott and by Drexler. Porter with 20, Tigger with 22, so they canceled each other.
At center, kind of the same thing. Duckworth with 8, Divac with 5, but they really took Vlade out of this ball game.
Oh, Vlade's whole entire game was gone. He looked so poor, he should give his money back. He was that bad tonight. It was awful. The common denominator tonight for us was the fact that Cliff Robinson made up the space. He put up 24 points for us, and that was a huge difference. Jerome, he should get 14. that's the way it goes for him. But
and you saw the points that Buck Williams scored, the 21, and then Buck on the boards with 13, a very key performance. And as we heard so much this week about the Blazers on the boards, they certainly dominated there. Now, the Laker perspective, that's where Jerry Murphy was tonight at the Coliseum, and he went into the locker room there to find out what they were up to. Jerry?
Well, it was pretty quiet in there after the game, but the Lakers did make a little bit of racket in the second half, reducing that Blazer lead to 13 points. But, you know, it takes a whole lot of racket to drown out a 34-point halftime deficit. Now, in the first half, the Lakers were just badly out-rebounded, badly outrun, badly outshot. You name it, any part of the game, they were outdone by the Trailblazers. And by the time halftime rolled around, the Lakers were defeated, and they admit it.
You know, we were down and, you know, basically the game was over after the first half. And because of their board game, their ability to get out and run, and, you know, their athletic ability and their outside shooting, all the things that they do so well, they did. And, you know, if they do that, then we can't beat them.
We just got to find a way to try to contain them. You know, I felt like Clyde might have not been in rare form tonight after missing 2 weeks, but, man, he's better than what he was when he, you know, before he went out with the injury.
Game 2 was always seemed to be the most important game, and you know, we have to you know, come out and make some adjustments and understand the fact that this is the playoffs. It's not a regular season game. You can't say, well, we'll get them next time. It's there's no tomorrow. You got to come out ready to play.
We just have to, you know, make concentration in the game. You know, try play, you know, harder than we played. I mean, just a little bit like in the second half. Probably we can do something. If we play in like a first half, series be over in 3 games.
And that is the story of the game, the first half. It's not just the Lakers playing badly. The Blazers were absolutely awesome. And frankly, if the Lakers are going to have a chance, they need some help from the Blazers. The Blazers are going to have to stumble maybe a little more so than they did in the second half tonight. Lou?
Okay, thanks, Jerry. We look forward to seeing your reports on Saturday, which will be our next shot at this on Saturday. You like their first half. You like the fact that they won, but you're concerned about one thing.
We allowed the Lakers to get some form of confidence in the second half, and so they're going to work on that today and Saturday.
They know they can't get blown out or might not. They were able to come back. Our next broadcast, or actually the next game, I should say, first, comes up Saturday when the Blazers and Lakers meet in Game 2, that game at Memorial Coliseum at 12:30. Then we'll be back for Blazer Extra inside our 6:30 news broadcast. So the game at 12:30, and then Blazer Extra coming your way at 6:30. Now, before we leave you, one other item of note, and that is, you know, some of the Laker stars were here, quite frankly, and Diane Cannon was one of them, and I couldn't believe it, so I asked her a question.
Okay, now you're a native Northwesterner, so you certainly know that this building is always sold out. So look right in there and tell the Portland viewers, how the heck did you get these seats in the front row?
Yeah, well, I guess we had the last laugh, didn't we? The Blazers win Game 1. For Greg, for Jerry, for Ron, I'm Lou Gellis. We'll see you Saturday at 6:30 for another edition of Blazer Extra. Good night, everybody.
She just laughed it through.
She just laughed and laughed and laughed.